Hello and welcome to ShowBuilder Tutorials. Today we're going to talk about the calendar and adding a rehearsal. For the purposes of this video, you can see that I'm currently logged in as the Assistant Stage Manager. I'd also like you to keep in mind that in our previous calendar tutorial, we created a costume fitting. Now, when I pull up my calendar, I do not currently see that fitting listed here. That is because it was created as a discipline-only event for costumes, and once published, only showed up on the calendar for people within the costume discipline and those involved in the fitting, namely our Duloc dancers. However, that event still exists. Now then, to add a rehearsal, it is very similar. Again, you double-click on the date you would like to make your event, and then select your template. This time, we're going to create a rehearsal. This brings us to this particular appointment page. Now, for type, we're going to go ahead and make this a blocking rehearsal. Since this is our first rehearsal, it will be number 1. And we're going to work on Big, Bright, Beautiful World blocking. Now, because we don't know about that costume fitting at 1 o'clock, we're going to go ahead and make our start time for rehearsal at 1 p.m. And it's going to last until 5 p.m. The venue will be the same, Bass Concert Hall. We'll make our location the rehearsal room. And again, I'm going to go ahead and make this discipline only. I will allow edits, and I'm not going to publish it yet. Once we save those parameters, now we can add in the cast members we need. Since we're rehearsing Big, Bright, Beautiful World, we can easily drop those characters in by coming here and selecting that particular scene. I then just click here on the Add Company Group icon, and we can see those members added below. Now, once I do that, since there is a costume fitting for the Duloc dancers from 1 to 2, you can now see immediately that whoever is involved in that fitting has a conflict. So again, even though that fitting did not come up on my calendar, I still get a notification here about the conflict. I can then double-click here to open up what the conflict is. And I can see here that this person is in a costume fitting from 1 to 2 in the wardrobe room. I can then go to the costume department and figure out how to work around this. Maybe this means some people might be late to rehearsal. Perhaps I could call in a swing instead to stand in for a specific role, or I can simply move the rehearsal and rehearse something else during that time frame. So if I go up here to the start time for my rehearsal and instead move this now to 2 p.m. and save those parameters, you can see now that the conflict I previously had for these cast members is now gone. I could then create a different rehearsal during that 1 to 2 time slot, which doesn't require anyone involved in the costume fitting. By coming over here to our scene breakdown, I can see here that Don't Let Me Go would instead include just 2 people, which would be Donkey and Shrek. Whatever course of action you take, you at least go forth with a realistic and clear depiction of all of the time conflicts within your company. If everyone in the company is using the calendar to update their meetings and appointments, there should never be any surprise conflicts when you start an event or a rehearsal. Now, once you're done editing your details, you can then publish that rehearsal by coming up here and selecting that. Save. And now this event will be added to the calendar for everyone within this discipline and everyone involved in this rehearsal. When I then exit out of this specific event, I can now see that rehearsal right here on my calendar. For the purposes of this video, I can then come up here and log into my ensemble member track, pull up the calendar, and because I am involved in both the costume fitting and the rehearsal, I can now see both of those things on my calendar here. And that is a basic overview for adding a rehearsal to the calendar. We hope this was a useful video for you, and as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave us a comment below or send us an email. Thanks for stopping by, and let's get on with the show.